Well, this one was crazy. Known for its heated debates and controversial moments, The View has certainly evolved over the years, becoming one of the most talked about TV shows. But what really goes on behind the scenes? Candace Cameron Bure, who is a former co-host, recently opened up about her time on the show, how the producers convinced her to join the crew, and how things operated when the cameras aren't rolling. So buckle up, because today we're covering it all. But before I go on with the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
If I'm not wrong, because I don't know too much about The View, but I've seen definitely like some controversial clips online or on YouTube. That's a primarily liberal audience.
Oh yeah, it is. That whole show started, and it's called The View because it's supposed to be 5 different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much one viewpoint.
That's what I picked up.
Yeah, there's usually like one token conservative. So I was that conservative for 2 years on this show.
But going into it, you knew that you were going to be that kind of token target.
Yeah.
That is absolutely right. Despite claiming to be a platform that represents all sides of an argument, The View is as balanced as a seesaw with a sumo wrestler on the other end. Sure, they have their token conservative, but that person is there for decoration, not dialogue. The moment they dare voice an opinion that challenges the liberal consensus, they're immediately shouted down, interrupted, or met with eye rolls. What's funny is that the dynamic isn't even subtle, it's practically The View's brand at this point. You just can't expect to tune in and see a balanced discussion. There were even rumors of them looking to hire a Trump supporter after the elections, and if it's true, I doubt anyone would take that job, especially if you take into consideration how hostile they are towards the president-elect. But knowing all of this, you might be wondering, why did Candace join the show?
So what made you accept that job?
Allie, I tried to turn that job down.
Are you serious?
Multiple times.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I know they talk so much politics on the show, and I'm not comfortable with that, so no. And then they came back and they were like, we're actually switching it. It's going to be more pop culture, more evergreen topics. We're not really going to talk about politics that much. And it was like, okay. And then I was like, well, I live in LA and I'm not moving to New York, so no. And they said, we'll fly you back and forth every week. We'll pay for the tickets every week.
The biggest open door.
They just kept upping the ante. Like everything I tried to say no to, they had a solution for it. That's when I eventually was like, okay, let's try this. And I said yes. And it was so scary to say yes. And it was a really hard show to do. But I'm really grateful that I did it. It grew me a lot.
Well, to give a bit of context, back in 2015, The View wasn't as big as it is today. In fact, its ratings were declining. It had lost 9% of its women audience, and its rival The Talk was the top viewed daytime show. But then they decided to take a different approach. Trump was launching his campaign, and since he was making headlines, the producers saw an opportunity and took it. They pivoted from a fully daytime chatter to heated political debates with a side of theatrics. The ladies quickly became vocal critics of Trump, making him a frequent target of their discussions, and all the controversy brought eyeballs and ratings starting to climb again. By the way, I've noticed you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel, so what are you waiting for? Now, their new formula was simple yet highly effective. Lean into the outrage machine. It wasn't just about disagreeing with Trump's policies, it was about making those disagreements as loud and dramatic as possible. That's why they needed a token conservative co-host who became the sacrificial lamb for the show's new direction. In another appearance, Candace even describes what the producers asked her to do to generate as much traction as possible.
I didn't like the rebuttal. I didn't like to have to argue back, because I just wanted to share my point of view and then listen to yours and listen to yours and listen to yours. And they were like, no, but you got to keep getting in. You got to keep, if someone doesn't agree with you, you got to go back. And I was like, but I don't like to argue. I just want to share. I want to share, present my opinion, and then leave it alone and take it for what it's worth. Throw it out, take it, or whatever. But I don't want to argue with you. That wasn't my style. So that part was difficult for me.
Now, that interview was with Jenny McCarthy, who, by the way, was also a co-host on The View for one season. Now, to Candace's point, how are they supposed to generate a buzz that way? Well, they need to dramatize it as if they're adding something new to the conversation. You know what's hilarious? At its inception, the show was never supposed to be political. Debbie Matenopoulos, who was one of the original co-hosts, said a couple years ago, quote, "The View was never supposed to be political," adding, "It was just meant to be like, here's your mom, your grandmother, your aunt, your cousin, your sister, and your young sister all sitting there chatting about the same topic, but they're all going to have different ideas because they're coming from different generations and different backgrounds. Candace even explained how she prepared for the show, and I think this explains a lot.
What I really want to know is, you knew you were going on The View, that you were going to be the token conservative.
Yeah.
How did you prepare for each and every episode?
Girl, I have never prepared like I have prepared for that show in my life, okay? So I would do hours and hours of homework every single night. You basically get a packet of about 80 topics the night before because they're all current events. They keep moving and changing, whatever happens in the news cycle. So I would spend probably a minimum of 4 hours each night researching all 80 topics so I could understand what I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And then on the morning of, with the hosts and the producers, they break it down. We go through all 80 topics and then pinpoint maybe 7 or 8 of those that we're actually going to discuss on the show.
You see why we get shallow commentary from the ladies? Although the hosts would love to present themselves as world-class political analysts, their lack of expertise shows. You see, rather than breaking down policies or discussing the nuances of political discussions, they stick to emotional appeals and quippy one-liners designed to get reaction. That's why instead of meaningful conversation, we get surface-level takes and recycled talking points that sound like they came straight off a trending hashtag. It's fine if you're entertaining a crowd, but not so much if you're claiming to be an informative platform. But I think there's one positive from the show, and I'll let Candace explain it.
So it was really challenging, but I did as much prep work as I could. I felt like I was in college or in high school or whatever. Yeah. So when I knew the decided on topics, and politics is not my strong suit, or at least it wasn't then. I know a whole lot more about politics now, but I was really learning politics while I was doing that show because we just weren't a family that ever talked about politics at home. So I had a couple of very faithful friends in my life that committed to that 1 hour in the morning of my prep time, because that's about what you get. You get your makeup and hair time, and then but during your makeup and hair time, you have like about an hour and a half before you go on live TV. I know
this was the Lord that calls you to this because this is so stressful.
I know.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, but hear me out. For all its flaws, and there are many, The View does serve one undeniable purpose. It gets people talking about politics. In a world where many people tune out news entirely, The View finds a way to make politics digestible for the audience. The fact that it covers current events, elections, and policy debates means viewers, even if unintentionally, are getting exposed to the issues that matter. Now, whether those viewers walk away informed or misinformed is another discussion entirely, but hey, gotta start somewhere, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And by the way, if you want your friends to be as informed as you, please share the video with them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.